Hey guys, this is Adam. This is a video about Tell Me Fundamentals, the role-playing games in English method fundamentals. What is the foundation of working with my method? So to discuss this, we first need to discuss what is not the foundation of our method, what is the opposite of this, and what we are creating it in juxtaposition to. So the opposition to our method is the mainstream teaching technique called the 3Ps. So the 3P is presentation, practice, production. The presentation, practice, production scheme is all about presenting a piece of language. For example, if I were a bird, I would be an eagle. Guys, second conditional. Then giving your students something to practice this with. Perhaps some sentences to complete, perhaps some verbs to conjugate, so that sentences make sense, and then expecting them to produce this in a controlled or less controlled way. For example, controlled way, where you want them to make a sentence about themselves. For example, guys, tell us what kind of a tree you would be if you were a tree, and something like that. Or maybe something a little bit less controlled, where you expect them to, for example, write a short story where there were a few sentences like that used. And there's nothing wrong about this, and it works with works for a lot of people. A lot of people are learning language correctly this way, but it doesn't work with plenty of people, and these are the people we are here to help. So why doesn't it work for a lot of people? Now, it's very simple. The problem it creates is that it expects students to be perfect imitators of a certain piece of language, and imitation is quite a stressful thing to do, and it's very stressful to base communicative skill on being a perfect imitator. Let me explain what I mean. So if in the given example, a student presents you with an idea that you need to imitate perfectly a sentence in second conditional, like if I were a bird, I would be an eagle, and you make some mistakes during that, and you say if I am a bird, and no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. And then if I was a bird, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. Every time you are the teacher penalizes a student for making mistakes, that creates stress. The stress is remembered by the student's psyche, and this stress stays with them for the future. Now, when they find themselves in a real situation when they would be able to use it, they remember the stress, and the stress creates this kind of a barrier of communicativeness, and this is sometimes called the language barrier. Now, people who have learned language for many years, they go out into the world and they are dumbstruck. They cannot speak because they are afraid of not being perfect imitators, and that is because of the PPP structure. And so this is why we don't want to teach in the regular way. So what is the fundamental of our work? The fundamental of our work is trying to imitate, but the actual way of acquiring language in the real world. And the way people acquire language in the real world is because they need it for something. Now, they have certain need that they want to meet, and they need to use this tool, communicative tool, to achieve it. Now, the first example is, using expression like milk, or using expression like mama to express how we are hungry, that we want to fulfill our need for sustenance. But later on, when we are small children who are not very communicative yet, and we want to play with them, we get a certain role, and we don't use our native tongue very well yet, but we still want to be as communicative as possible to fulfill the role. Now, if we are communicative enough using our hand gestures and sounds and our entire body so that we can fulfill the role, that's great, and we are successful in this communication because we fulfill the gaming role and we were able to express ourselves within this. But if we do not have to be perfect imitators. So imitation is not what we are trying to do. What we're trying to do is we are trying to achieve certain goal by cooperating with other people, and language is just a tool for that. Okay, so that's the main thing. Like the traditional PPP structure is all about focus on the language, imitate this piece of language, and try to do this as well as possible. And the actual language acquisition is about you're trying to do something. Use any means necessary to communicate with other people so that you can fulfill your needs and complete your goals and achieve your aims. So this is what we're trying to do with Tell Me. In Tell Me, we are trying to create a group of people, group of students who are going to cooperate to achieve certain things. And they're going to cooperate not using Polish language. And that's the fundamental element. Like, you don't want them to use English language, but they don't have to imitate perfect English yet. That is not what they need to do. What they need to do is they need to feel that there's a challenge for them to complete, and they need to cooperate to do it. So your job as a storyteller is to create a certain dynamic where students learn from one another and teach each other. And they do it because they trust each other and they want to fulfill something together. They see themselves as a team, they see the goal, and they are trying to achieve it. So role-playing game is just a tool for that. It is kind of built over the fundamentals. The fundamentals is not role-playing games. The fundamentals is cooperating towards a goal with your peers. And role-playing game is the best game that I can think about that does that, that fulfills this need. But it is just an option. Like, we can do this with different things. We can do this with different activities. So remember, the fundamental of working with role-playing games in English method is not actually role-playing games, but it is actually this cooperation. This is cooperation in English method, if you want to go deeper. So consider this, please, and ponder on this topic. What are your students cooperating? Are your students working together? Do they understand the goals? Do they understand each other? Do they feel like they can contribute, that everyone can contribute, and they are able to be part of this, or are they not? If they are not, perhaps it's not working very well. If that is something you want to talk to me about, invite me to a lesson, and I'd love to help you out to create the certain dynamic to make this happen. Don't get sort of tunnel visioned into creating the best role-playing game experience for your students, because that's not what they need you to do. What they need you to do is to create a dynamic for them to work together on something. All right, so thank you very much, guys. This was a video about fundamentals of work with Tell Me. I hope you found it useful, and see you in the next video.